Hello and welcome to Maldorma TV. I'm Tobias and this is episode 19.
And I'm Magnus.
In the previous episode we have talked about our visit to Rishikesh and Dharamsala.
Yeah, and we had a whole series of episodes where we visited a lot of places in India.
Yeah, but since then we have also done a few new things, including you visiting Ram Dass and Krishna quite recently.
Yeah, on Hawaii.
And I also want to bring up 1 year ago I was attending a concert with Krishna Das in New York, so I'm going to talk about that as well.
Yeah, both Ram Dass and Krishna Das have been quite a big part of our spiritual journey with their books and the lectures on the net, and also Krishna Das' music that I think both of us listened to pretty much daily for a few years back.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, if it wasn't for Ram Dass and Krishna Das, I'm not sure if we would have made that journey to Nainital and to the Himalayan mountains and in Karoli Baba. So they were the two people who introduced us to maharaj-ji. So we're very thankful for that, and thankful for their wonderful music and their lectures as well.
And a lot of the teachings that they both have, the path of the heart, the bhakti yoga way, has been a big part of our own spiritual practice, and also been the reason why we have experienced some of the things that we have experienced that we have talked about earlier.
Sure.
Yeah. So both of us have seen Krishna Das and I have seen Ram Dass, and we want to talk about those two meetings because they was really amazing.
Yeah. So you just returned a few weeks ago from Hawaii, where you were able to meet both of them.
Yeah, I attended the Thanksgiving Satsang that Ram Dass hold every year. And Krishna Das was the guest there. And then the day after, Krishna Das had a Kirtan Concert. And they were in a church on Hawaii, Maui. And actually, can also say that for days after this event, my mind tried to understand what had happened inside my heart, because, oh my God, basically, it was a very confusing and wonderful event.
Yeah,
in many ways.
And I think, both of us have now experienced the effects of the Kirtan that Krishna has led, but I haven't been to Ram Dass, but I have read about his state of being, so I can just imagine what it would be like to be in someone's presence whose heart is just wide open and he's just radiating love 24/7.
Anyone who have read his most recent books or listened to his most recent talks for the past few years on the internet that are available can clearly see that he's come a long way on his journey, and meeting him was, well, pretty much the biggest thing when it comes to meeting a person that have a really deep effect on you. I have never met a person that have affected me that much as Ram Dass did.
And that's quite interesting, because if you look at a lectures with Ram Dass nowadays, he's having trouble to speak because of his stroke and so on. But I feel like when I listen to Ram Dass, and I'm assuming just when you're in his presence as well, he has the words that he says is carrying something way more than back when he was fully functional of talking and holding all these lectures all around the world, around the US. There's something in his presence, in his words, that's just a completely different vibration nowadays.
Yeah, and also when you meet him in person, there's another dimension to it that is not transmitted, at least not for me, over video and books, even though they are quite powerful as well. So I can just jump into it, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
So I went to this church on Maui. I think it's called I don't think I'm going to pronounce it. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. But a church. It's on a website. The article about this event, you can read it there, exactly the exact location of it. But first, the evening started with Krishna Das and his band playing for about an hour. And then Ram Dass entered the stage together with Krishna Das and Raghu Marcus. And immediately when Ram Dass came in and came up to the stage, you could literally see how people kind of just lit up all over the church. It was so obvious what a huge impact his presence had on people.
And I mean, if you read about, I come across a few articles and people just mentioning it, what it's been like to be in Ram Dass's presence. And I think one story that comes to mind was one person who he was listening through the Satsang, and when he came up to hug him, he just was bathing in love. So he has a tremendous effect on people. That's
and also he I could immediately feel this enormous stillness inside of me while sitting and listening to him, this inner peace that I felt just being in his presence. And for me, I didn't really care about what he said, because I had read the books, I had listened to the lectures. I didn't really feel that I needed to learn something intellectual anymore in that sense. And I could have just sit there, and he didn't really need to talk at all. Actually, for me, the most powerful moments was when he didn't speak, when he just sat there and looked at the audience. And I think it's pretty much a good thing that he has trouble talking today, because it brings another dimension to it, where people just have to be very present, and they have to wait. They can't process that much information. And I think it's a good thing. You can see he has a completely different way of working now compared to the old days when he was very verbal and talking a lot. He just sits there and radiates love and joy. And he doesn't have to do much more than that, actually, to affect people deeply.
Yeah, I mean, the self is expressed through silence. And I think the way he does it is just amazing. I mean, the way he can just make people silence, because that's when you get it. You can have as much information, you can get all the information, and you have all this intellectual understanding, which isn't really showing you what the self actually is. But when you're in his presence and you can like come down to the state of being where you can get a glimpse of the self, then there's not really any need for words, because it's there, you're feeling it. The silence has it all.
And it's not the words that are important, it's something beyond words. And you can for sure sense that when you're in the presence of Ram Dass. And I could also see that everyone in the church was deeply affected by his presence. The whole church was filled with love and joy, and just no one, I think I can speak for pretty much everyone in there, wanted this event to end. And when he finally got off the stage, I kind of felt, oh, no, I want more, like this greedy child, just drinking as much as I can while I had the chance, basically.
And I can imagine that it's, they talk about it, both Krishna Das and Ram Dass, when they were with maharaj-ji. They never wanted to leave him. They never wanted to be in any other place, because when they were sitting in front of him, they were just feeling this unconditional love, and there were no problems at all in the world. And
that was exactly how I felt when I was in his presence. And I actually remember thinking that this must have been in some way what it was like to be in the presence of Maharaj-ji. It felt for me like he was a full-blown guru already. I didn't feel really the same thing about Krishna Das and Raghu Marcus, not the same level at least. There was something special about Ram Dass's presence that I cannot really put into words, but it was just amazing.
I mean, both Raghu Marcus, Krishna Das are wonderful people, of course, but there's something to Ram Dass's presence that, even when you look at it from a video or listen to him talk, there's just some level of him that's, I don't know.
For me, it even looked like they kind of enjoyed sitting next to him as well, and just drinking as much as they could as well. I don't know for sure. It's just my impression that I had. But after this event, I'm not going to say too much about what he talked about. He talked about some, the ego, soul, and God, and his guru, of course, maharaj-ji. But in this episode, I want to talk about the impression I had of him. And some of it actually came a few days after the event. During the event, I could sense this tremendous love, joy, and peace. Not much happened in the outer. After the event, I had the opportunity to go up to him and take a photo. And when I went up to him, he took my hand and looked into my eyes. And I remember I don't know what happened, really. It was an amazing experience. I just felt my heart bursting open with love for this man. And I could barely speak. I was just stuttering, basically. I didn't know what to say. I knew that I had thought out a few things to say in beforehand, but all that just vanished, and I couldn't really speak. So I kind of took the photos and walked away a little bit dazed, actually. And
yeah, maybe there were no need for any words.
No, I don't think so. So I just I think I thanked him for his books or something like that. That was the only thing I could think of at the time. I was so much was happening inside that I wasn't really able to speak. And then after I had this encounter with I had talked with Ram Dass, I went back and talked a little bit with Krishna Das as well, and I had a little bit longer chat with him. And then I also talked a little bit to Arjun and Nina Rao, the band members of Krishna Das.
Yeah, and one thing that's so amazing meeting these people is that you see how humble they are.
Yeah.
There's no like, yeah, hey, look at me, I'm the big rock star.
No.
Nothing like that. That's so nice, humble people, down to earth people.
Amazingly humble. I mean, Krishna Das is so easy to feel good around him. He's really down to earth. He feels really human. Yeah. But Ram Dass was something extraordinary. It's really hard to put words on it, as I said, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened afterwards. But I do think before that we talk about Krishna Das, because this was the first event, the first night in Maui where Ram Dass had his Satsang. And then the day after this, it was a Krishna Das Concert, about 3 hours, where he played Kirtan, and I was sitting just in front of him and singing along all night, and went deeper and deeper into myself during the evening. And it was a roller coaster of experiences, insights, and eventually a huge breakthrough, basically.
Yeah, I can just agree on that. When I attended the Krishna Das concert roughly 1 year ago, as you said, it's a roller coaster, up and down, and it's so much that when you're attending a concert, there's so much that boils up from deep within.
Yeah.
That's just released and it's processed, and I can't really explain exactly what happens, but it's just you. On one level, it feels like it is changing you, but on another level, it feels like it's not doing that much. I mean, when you're taking part of the concert, there's, as you said, there's just a roller coaster of experiences, emotions, and everything you go through. But afterwards, at least for me, when I attended the concert, I wouldn't say that like it's been a big change in my personality or anything like groundbreaking. But nevertheless, I think that shows that one realization that came to me when I was at this concert is that you have to do it constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're attending a Krishna Das concert, I don't think you should expect that you attend one concert and everything is just served on a plate for you.
No.
I think what it showed for me most of all is that it shows you that with this kind of practice, with constant chanting towards God, with
Yeah.
constant focus towards God,
Yeah.
that's when the real magic happens.
Yeah, one of the insights I had during the concert that came to me as a kind of intuitive knowledge was that it's such an easy technique that Krishna Das teaches, repeating God's name over and over again. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to have any expectations. You don't have to search any highs. You just do it over and over again and let things happen by itself over time.
Yeah, I just remember thinking to myself when I was at this concert, and like, what if on a daily basis or on a weekly basis,
Yeah.
people would attend Kirtan, like all
Yeah,
people would
yeah.
attend it? How much impact would that have?
Huge.
I think that, yes, I mean, when all looked around at all the people, there were smiles all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
You could feel the effects a few days afterwards as well. Just,
Yeah.
but if you continuously doing this,
Yeah.
I think that would have a huge effect on people.
Yeah, and I mean, you can feel also the effects of doing it together with people, and especially together with a man like Krishna Das, who really gets into the zone and get really connected to his guru while he sings. I mean, we have listened a lot to him over the years, and I have listened to a lot of other artists as well singing Kirtan, but very few can, grab your heart like his voice do. You can really connect that you can feel that he's connected to maharaj-ji when he sings, and it's so obvious when you're listening to him live.
And I think one aspect of it as well, or at least what I felt when I attended the concert, was exactly as you said, that
Yeah.
you can feel Maharaj's presence
Yeah.
in his voice.
Yeah.
But I could also, what happened for me was everyone within the room, everyone who attended this concert
Yeah.
just felt oneness, like it was a oneness bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A oneness bubble that was just in this room. And that's perhaps what I felt from the Krishna Das Concert, what I'm trying to explain earlier, was that you can go into this bubble and stay there for a while, but
Yeah.
then you have to go out of the
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
But if you can continuously attend or do these kind of practices,
Yeah.
the bubble becomes there all the time. There's
Yeah.
no
Eventually.
you remove the border. There's no bubble
Yeah.
anymore.
Exactly. It's not in and out. Eventually you will be in
Yeah.
the bubble all the time, if you want to call it the bubble.
Yeah.
And I also felt that, I mean, I had a huge several big experiences during this concert, and I know that most people there connected to similar things in their own ways. I mean, I think things happen for pretty much the majority of people attending the concert. And I realized how powerful this really is, this practice that he does together with people. And one of the experiences that I had during the concert was the first experience I had was I could connect to the beingness of everything, in that we are sharing the same beingness. I have experienced this many times before during meditation and psychedelics and things like that there is this, everything is. There's this isness to everything. The sound is, my body is, my mind is, my thoughts are, and all of that. And it's the same isness in everything.
Yeah.
There's no, everything that we experience is carried by the same isness, the same beingness. And I really could connect to that during this concert for a while. And I went into this state of just love and bliss. But then it passed. I got out of it, and I remember one very humbling experience that happened a while after this. During one of the pauses where Krishna talks, he pulled a joke, and right behind me, a woman laughed out really loud. And I remember I judged her, my mind judged her immediately for kind of being this suck up to Krishna as wanting his attention. And I immediately after I judged her for that, I judged myself for judging her. And I went into this really bad mood I felt bad for judging her for laughing pretty much. And I realized that I wasn't actually judging her at all. It was just a projection of my own lack of self-love, that I was actually judging myself for not laughing at the joke, that I was not able to laugh because of who I am and my suffering and all of that. And I kind of became even more depressed, that realizing that I was not able to be as happy as she was.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you can come across, that like when you see a really happy person or you see a really loving person, you're like, I hate that person.
Yeah.
I hate that person. And it's like, and it's yourself. You're hating
actually,
yourself that you are not able to be like that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when you meet a person like Ram Dass.
Yeah.
He removes it.
Yeah.
He just, you just love him.
It's impossible not to love Ram Dass. Everyone loves him, that meets him. It's just impossible not to love such a person. But it's very easy to hate others, unfortunately. But it's interesting that you say that you think that you hate that person, but in reality, what I realized during this concert was that I wasn't actually having a problem with her. I was having a problem with myself that I was projected on her because I didn't want to look at my own lack of love for myself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much true for all of this. When you judge other people, it's actually always rooted in a lack of self-love.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized that, I went into a bad mood. But then the next thing happened, and this took place in just a few minutes. I realized that I don't have to laugh at the joke. I don't have to put myself down not for laughing. It's okay to be me. And I found a love for myself. And immediately when I found the love for myself and could accept myself as I am, my love for her was just there. Because when I loved myself, I had no reason to judge anyone else. Yeah. And that was really interesting. And I went up again and had this high again, this bliss moment when I realized I can just be myself and be comfortable with that.
And that's what's interesting with the Kirtan concert is when you're in the highs, there's no problems. There's nothing. You're just bathing in it and in the bliss and it. And you go into the mantras, you go into the music, and it's everything just wonderful. But in a Kirtan concert, there's ups and downs. Yeah. And
things surface.
Yes, things surface and they become clear.
Yeah.
Because you're coming from this high and you're experiencing the low. Yeah. If you're just in the low all the time, you're just unconsciously going through these things and you don't notice them. But when you're coming from the high and can see the low, that it brings it up to the
and
present.
That's when you see them for what they are. I could see that my judging of other people was actually judging myself. And that's a big step, because when I see that, that's the moment, the opportunity for transformation, which I took at that moment, because I had this high. I was in this sea of love, so I could just accept myself, and it was over, and I went up again.
Yeah, that's a really good thing you said there. An opportunity for transformation. Yeah. As I said before, a concert might not necessarily transform you. No. But it gives you an opportunity for transformation. Yeah. And that's really key, I think.
Yeah. But you have to be able to, you have to have the courage to look at yourself. And that can be very painful from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. You're always getting closer. The more we peel off, the closer we become. Yeah. One thing that I want to bring up during one thing I experienced during the concert with Krishna Das was when he sang the song Namo from the latest album. I think it was called Om Namo Gurudev before, but now
on the album Trust in the Heart is called Namo.
Yeah, and it's a song towards Neem Karoli Baba, and it's a beautiful song. I just loved it, and just before the concert also, I just listened to it so many times and just felt a connection to it. Yeah. But when he sang it live, something just opened up in my heart, like just love pouring into my heart. And I just started crying, and it was like, I don't know, thousands of people. Yeah. And I was sitting there crying by myself, like not feeling sad, but what I saw was like everything in life, every moment, everything is just through grace.
Yeah.
Everything comes from grace,
Yeah.
from God's grace or Maharaj-ji's grace, whichever you want to say. But just seeing the grace in everything, like everything is just grace.
Yeah.
And that feeling is quite powerful.
It's quite powerful, and it's very comforting as well when you realize that all is actually well all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have to struggle with everything. We are taken care of in a way. Grace is always taking care of us, even when we suffer.
Yeah.
Suffering is also grace. Ram Dass says this all the time. Suffering is grace. He even calls his stroke a grace.
Yeah, so that was just beautiful to see. And
Ram Dass was cool also when he talked that he loves everything. I mean, he said, I love my aches and pains. I love everything. And to sit with a person that actually do love everything and be in the presence of true unconditional love is just,
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge. I mean, you can be loving when the conditions for being loving are there.
Yeah.
But when you, in his case, he has, with the stroke and how his body is, all the pain that he has to go through, and can still feel love towards that and everything. That's amazing.
It's amazing, and it gives you hope, basically, that it's perhaps possible for myself one day. It's beautiful to meet people who kind of done the journey and actually succeeded in a way. He says to himself that he's not really all the way, but in my eyes he's come quite a long way, at least. And for me he's like a full-blown guru. Pretty much. I also want to bring up one more experience during the Krishna's concert. The most powerful experience was that I had these ups and downs, getting high into bliss love and then getting down, feeling bad. And I started to notice that it was something there witnessing it all. And I have noticed this before during meditations, also during psychedelic journeys that I have had in recent years. But it came back to me in another way, where I could connect to it much more deeply, where I started to notice during the concert, okay, it's actually something that never really leaves me in the background. And then it just came like that. I remembered God in my heart. And it was not a discovery, it was a recognition of God inside my own heart, radiating out. And this experience just blew the hinges off. I mean, tears started running, and I was just in this beautiful, open, loving space where I loved everything. I could feel the taste of what Ram Dass perhaps feels all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but just feeling God in my own heart as me. I mean, there was no difference between God and me. It was in me, as me.
And I think that's what all spiritual practice tries to do, and what everything is aiming towards is silencing of the mind, because the heart is always there. It's not something that you'll have to find. It's something that's already there. It's just that you have to remove like the filter. And I think like attending a concert and being in presence of someone who has removed the filter, that helps. That removes it for you and helps.
And these people who have walked the path before us, and it can be really helpful to meet these people and have these glimpses. I mean, when I came back home, my normal life with all the stuff that I have came back, of course, but still I remembered God in my heart. I still remember God in my heart. I can always return to that experience that God was right here, and He never leaves me, and it's not actually a dualistic God either. It's in me as me, and it hasn't really left me since then. Even though I go back into my suffering and all my personal dramas and all that stuff, there's something has happened, and it became very clear when I was sitting on the plane back home to Sweden. And I bought this book at they had this store in back at the church where they sold all the Krishna Das's album and Ram Dass's books, and they also had this book by Dada, the great devotee of Maharaj-ji. And I bought a book of his. I remember exactly what it called. I think it's a devotee story.
Yeah, we can put it in the description.
Yeah. And when I read that, I was really thinking about Maharaj-ji, because most of the book are stories about Maharaj-ji. And then I started to think about Ramana Maharshi, another guru that have affected me a lot. And when I sat there on the plane thinking about Maharaj-ji and Maharashi, Ramana Maharshi, I noticed that I couldn't make a distinction between the two. They were one. And my mind became very confused, because in my mind there were two different individuals, but in my heart they were one. And then I started to think about Ram Dass, and he was the same thing as well. I couldn't distinguish between Ram Dass, Maharaj-ji, Ramana Maharshi, and I started thinking about Krishna Das and other gurus, and they were all one in the feeling. And it was really confusing for my mind, and my mind tried to understand what is happening, what had happened inside me, and intuitively I just knew that it had to do, well, with remembering God during the Krishna Das Concert, but in particular meeting Ram Dass. Something happened, because this was a glimpse of oneness, basically, where lastly I thought about myself, and I couldn't distinguish myself with Ram Dass or Krishna Das. Even whatever I thought about, it felt like one.
I mean, it's all just different forms expressing the formless.
Yeah, and what happened even a few days after that was I realized that it was all thoughts. Maharaj is just a thought. Ram Dass is just a thought. And the layer behind that is this presence that is Maharaj, is me, is Ram Dass. And I connected to that an underlying consciousness that is all one. And I had never experienced it in this way before. And it just happens just by this meeting Ram Dass and Krishna Das. Pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's truly amazing, and I feel so humbled and blessed. And of course, I feel that I've been pulled back into my life. My dramas continue as they used to do, but something has changed. I can feel it. I am feeling more humble, a little bit less self-centered. I mean, I'm still self-centered, but a little bit less. I can feel it, and and that's at least a step in the right direction.
And the more or less you can become in your own ego, the better, of course. And I mean, it's a journey, it's a road that we have to travel, and it same goes for all of us. We all have to walk this path, and all the small help you can get along the way, just be sure to take them.
And actually, one of the things that I realize right now that happened, and I think this happened during the Krishna Das Concert, when I realized what you just talked about. It's just about repeating the name over and over again. And when you start to do that, I feel that the chase for enlightenment, for results, is not that important anymore. Because I know after this that if I just keep doing it, it will happen by itself. And I have absolutely no control of it whatsoever anyway.
Yeah.
It's all grace anyway. So just do it and enjoy the ride, basically.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure where I read it, but or who said it, but it's all about. I mean, we don't really have any control of if I do this, this, and this,
Yeah.
it will happen at this time.
Yeah.
It will happen when it's bound to happen. So, in the meantime, just do as much as you can. Be
Yeah.
humble about it.
Yeah.
Keep like if you. So was someone who said like if you put in a quarter or like if you put in a certain amount, you get it threefold back.
Yeah.
So just keep adding into the jar. Just
Yeah.
ram into the jar.
Do the practice, and also I feel more and more that hanging out with people who are interested in the same thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, like Ram Dass and these really advanced beings. But just hanging out with other people, doing it together is really helpful. It gives you small glimpses and
Yeah, it makes the practice easier.
and more fun and loving.
Yeah, of course. One thing I want to touch, I think I missed to mention this, and it's a little bit related to one thing that I had experience of during the Kirtan concert is when we were in Kanchidam, after we had visited Kanchidam.
Yeah, where maharaj-ji
Yeah.
used to stay in India.
This was during our journey to India. One thing happened during the night. I woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling like everything I felt was coming from the heart.
Yeah.
There were nothing in the mind. Like the mind was still there.
Yeah.
But it was not. All my thoughts were just coming from the heart.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was in this like just love pouring from the heart. And I remember everything throughout the day, like with all the meetings throughout the day with people. Like, why didn't I do like that?
Yeah.
Why didn't I approach that person with love?
Yeah.
Why didn't I respond with love?
Yeah.
And when I was in the heart, everything just became so clear. Like,
Yeah.
why don't I do it from the heart?
Yeah.
And what also dawned on me when I had this experience is that the heart is there. When you just let the heart speak, all the actions, it's not like you have to, in your mind, think about, I'm going to be loving and do loving actions.
No.
If you just in the heart, all the actions will be loving.
Yeah, you are love. I think Ram Dass says it, you don't act lovingly. You are being love.
Yeah.
It just falls out of you naturally because you are love.
Yeah, I just remember I fell asleep like lying there like, I hope this feeling isn't gone when I wake up. I hope this feeling isn't gone when I wake up. And then I wake up and it's like, crap.
Yeah.
I'm back to me again.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It happens a million times.
Yeah.
And when you connect, I mean, when you meditate, for me, often when I meditate, I go into this really nice place and I can see, but I'm gonna act like that when I meet people in the future. Yeah. And then you meet people that don't like, and you act just the old way, being this jerk. and then, oh my God, why didn't I practice the thing that I realized when I was in meditation? But I mean, but
you always do the best you can.
Yeah, and to be honest, gradually you do become a little bit better person each day.
Yeah,
it do happen things, and it's so easy to beat yourself down, you know, because not taking these really huge steps, because you want to see, as a Westerner, you want to have big results all the time, but
I'm thinking it will happen overnight as well. It's like
and maybe it can, but it's not up to you anyway.
No.
So
just do it.
Basically.
Yeah, so I think that covers what we experienced throughout these events and meeting with these wonderful people. And if you ever get the chance to meet Ram Dass Krishnas, take it.
It's going to be worth every penny. And I realized that the week after this Thanksgiving Satsang, he had his retreat, which is quite expensive. And I realized that, oh my God, I should have gone to the retreat as well. I mean, I could sell my soul just to get there again. No, not really, but I realized that it's really worth it. it's worth every penny.
Yeah, and if you want to read about these experiences that we have had, we have written articles about it.
Yeah.
So you can find that on our website or on our Facebook page. So be sure to check it out.
Yeah, a lot of pictures and more details on the website.
And if you want to know about us and our journey, we have written books. You have written Illusion and a book about love and happiness.
Yeah, The Illusion and a book about love and happiness, which covers... A book about love and happiness is actually a free ebook that you can download on our website. It's a technique that came to me during a spiritual experience on how to create love and happiness in a quite easy way. And The Illusion is a book about my journey, basically.
Yeah.
We have had a very interesting journey full of amazing experiences, actually. Even though we are still in our egos, battling, I mean, we have been so blessed also, and we have shared all our experiences, troubles and tribulations as well in our books. And also you have your book, Stepping into the Known.
Yeah, it's about, for me it was like the spiritual world open up from one day to another, and it's been an amazing journey. As Magnus said, we have had tremendous experiences together.
Yeah.
And if you want to read more about our journey, be sure to check it out.
Tobias just have this amazing story, actually, of going from not being interested in spirituality, not knowing anything about it, having this huge experience, just open everything up. Your book is truly interesting.
Hope
so. Check it out.
Yeah. All right. I think that will be it for this episode, and hopefully we can make more episodes in the near future.
Yeah, we will for sure do that.
All right. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.